Big Chad Guys Plus, specifically the one with Cobblemon, is a mod pack I hosted on my community SMP, and well, it was an experience.
Yeah.
Oh, I have seen the HOA building in Discord. First things first, I know next to nothing about Pokemon itself. I never played any of the games, and my interest in the cards died in elementary school because my school banned them. And Baby Cosmo was not a rule breaker by any means. We will talk about this pack's core concept, its content and gameplay, then thoughts I have specifically about where it can improve. Last thing before we get into it, I do love Pal World, and if I accidentally call the Cobblemon Pals, it is not on purpose, it's just because of that. Also, I did play this pack in the past, almost 2 years ago now. In fact, the video is still up on my channel, so I'm also coming at this from the perspective of someone who saw it when it was in early stages of development. Now, the pack's core concept. From the CurseForge page, the pack is described as being Stardew Valley crossed with Pokemon, inspired by the idea of what everyday life would be like with Pokemon alongside you. It's meant to integrate alongside vanilla Minecraft's core progression, and seems to be a multiplayer-focused pack, though I'm sure it would be fine in single player as well. It boasts engaging quests, a single and multiplayer economy, multiple vehicle options for travel, a bunch of decor, and expanded farming and cooking. Taking a glance at the quest book, we see a checklist with guides on some more complex mods, as well as a lot of incentive to build and explore. Seems like it's meant to be a cohesive, comfy experience targeted at more casual players. But how does it actually play? Well, I'd say I played this pack like I would have played vanilla Minecraft. There's the Cobblemon, sure, but they aren't super interactive with vanilla mechanics, they're just kinda there. Other than that, it is just a general vanilla plus experience. So what makes this pack different to other vanilla plus with Cobblemon style packs? I'd have to say the visual identity makes it stand out. Most Cobblemon packs nowadays are random AI bullshit targeted at children, or pay to be on the front page of CurseForge and are not worth playing. Big Chad Guys, in contrast, is all custom artwork meant to fit into a cozy aesthetic, heavily inspired by Stardew Valley, and has some of the most cohesive visuals I've seen in a mod pack. Custom textures to redo things that don't fit, almost all UIs are covered, we've got texture pack after texture pack, and on top of it all, beautiful shaders with a stunning nighttime skybox. And it performed surprisingly well for a pack that has all of this done, so long as you don't go into creative mode. For some reason, the pack just straight up crashes for me sometimes when I go into the creative menu. But you know what won't crash your game? Liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment for the algorithm. Man, I'm getting so good at these segues. I also have a Twitch, a Discord, and if you want to support me more directly, you can join as a channel member. You'll get your name on the end card and sneak peeks, as well as early access to videos just like this one. Of course, it's not necessary at all, but it is greatly appreciated. Now, back to the review. There are a lot of ores in this pack, which I think is meant to be a twist on the whole Stardew Valley thing, as there are a lot of fun and weird metals to get upgrades from. There's also a selling bin, which is straight out of Stardew Valley. There's also a quest book that serves as more of a checklist, as I said earlier, but in some cases an optional guide, such as if you're unfamiliar with Create or other core mods that can be a bit complex and difficult to deal with. And while this all looks fantastic, I'd argue the pack is not much more than a kitchen sink, which, if you're unfamiliar with the term, it basically means a lot of mods put together with little to no configuration, integration, or theming. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's also not like a cut and dry definition. A lot of people love kitchen sinks, some specifically seek them out, though I personally believe the best kitchen sink packs are the ones you make yourself for you and your friends. So if you're a casual player or are just looking for something cozy to invest time in, I can see why this pack would appeal to you. It is kind of perfect for those people that have 2-week phases with their friends and was fun in a community setting, but I would not recommend this pack to more seasoned modded players, and let's get into why. Balance-wise, this pack is all over the place. You have access to incredibly strong gear very easily, very early on. There are also so many ores all over the place that seem to be partially decorative and partially for making crazy gear, which is fine, but it makes caves feel a little weird, especially without much being done to the caves and caving in general. I also find it a little funny that the quests are described as engaging by the CurseForge description when a lot of them are quite literally get this item from this mod or encounter this mob type things, which I'm sure works for some people as an incentive to keep playing, but I'm honestly not a fan of it personally. I also don't think they thought through having an emerald-based economy in this pack. The economy idea is really cool in concept, and I think it could be really good, but villagers not being appropriately balanced crushes this and makes abusing them even more lucrative. We also have the issue of both Let's Do and Farmer's Delight being implemented into the same pack. Generally, because these mods do the same thing, it is best to pick one or the other, or you're going to need to disable a lot of things from one of them. Duplicate crops contribute so much to inventory bloat, and this is something that should have been dealt with earlier in development. Same with the recipe conflicts, like come on, you left one in that had me craft a random shelf over slabs. I also don't think this pack feels like Stardew Valley in actual gameplay at all, not in the way Society Sunlit Valley does, but to be fair, I feel SSV sets the bar quite high. I think it would have been better if this pack had leaned farther into the Cobblemon side of things, going as far as to replace most of or even all of the animal and monster spawns with them, and allow for Cobblemon to drop things the player would normally need. The fights also felt rather boring, and I think this is partially because I don't have the Pokemon nostalgia a lot of other others do. There were no animations, just a chat log of what was happening, and sometimes my boy Jeffrey would just get completely murdered by another pal, even though he was the same level. I think that's probably to do with the "this is highly effective against Cobblemon of this type" thing that I was struggling to get the hang of. I still struggle with that concept in Pal World too. Like, I get water is gonna beat fire, but I don't really get the other elements as much. But as far as Cobblemon's actual implementation goes, there isn't really any outside of some basic quality of life mods. To me, this pack just felt like a vanilla plus pack that had Cobblemon added as an afterthought, not really as an intended progression element. To the pack's credit, I suppose it does tell us that that's the main concept on the description page. Side note, I'd love to see the tool progression reworked to be more like Stardew Valley. I really like when packs take influence from it, but for the most part, I feel like it's just kind of code for we have Farmer's Delight and also create, and that's typically all that makes it like Stardew Valley. Aesthetically, the pack nails it, especially with the menu, but you know, where else? I want more from Stardew Valley being an influence. Because we did this on the community SMP, which you can access by joining the Discord and checking the how to get on the SMP forum, we have a lot of input from my community, you guys, as well, which funnily enough, after reading, touches on a lot of what I mentioned myself in this video. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone that offered their thoughts, but especially Luminous Clarity and J Blockman 1 for their lengthy responses in the feedback channel, and I find it funny that we were thinking along quite similar lines. Everyone's thoughts in that channel allowed me to consider things from different perspectives, and as a result, let me feel my opinion was much more well-rounded, and let me tweak a couple things in my script. One thing J Blockman 1 said that really resonated with me was, quote, "At least the pack didn't simply place Cobblemon on its own in the mod list and call it a day. There are a few add-ons that add some quality of life features that Cobblemon doesn't have, or at least didn't have on the version used, but I was surprised when looking at the BCG CurseForge pages to see that the BCG pack without Cobblemon has the same description. The version without Cobblemon was created a year after, according to CurseForge, so despite appearing like Cobblemon was tacked onto a regular Stardew Valley pack, it seems like this was always intended to have Cobblemon as part of the core experience. So why doesn't it feel that way?" Unquote. Honestly, I think that sums up a lot of how I felt, as well as the general sentiment from those who played on the server. Overall, I don't like this pack much, and some of that is due to some more objective flaws, like duplicate items and mods that do the same thing. But for the most part, it is simply because I don't enjoy casual kitchen sink packs, and that's okay. I can see so many good applications of this pack on a server with newer modded players, a casual playthrough for someone wanting to unwind after a difficult day, having a world with a younger sibling, etc., and I can recognize the amount of work that had to go into this to make it so visually cohesive. But it's just not my cup of tea, you know? One thing I've noticed a lot on the internet lately is people feel like they have to go super in-depth and find these objective reasons for why they don't like something, but you don't have to do that. It's good for you to try to figure out why you don't like something, but sometimes you just don't like it, and it's really just that simple. Anyway, thank you for watching. This is one of the last videos in my holiday upload spree. Can you believe we're already almost done with December? Feels like 2020 was yesterday. Anyway, YouTube thinks you'll enjoy this video, so maybe give it a shot. Thank you, bye-bye!